Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're all doing good today and you're ready for the first discussion of this semester. And this first discussion is about the definition of popular literature. All right. Last week, I gave you a question to define what popular literature is. Some of you got it exactly right. Some of you were still not really sure about what you thought about popular literature and you related it to your own experience. And some of you seem not to be familiar at all with the term popular literature. It is not a problem at all. Besides, it was a pretest, right? It was supposed to check how far you are familiar with the term or how far you are not familiar with it. Okay, and today is the first presentation by me about what popular literature is. I will start out easily with this first video of not more than 10 minutes, I hope. Now, what is popular literature? Please allow me to share the screen with you. If you talk about popular literature, or if you hear the term popular literature, what comes to mind might be this image. Books that are in abundance that you can find in bookstores all over the world. You can find in bookstores in airports, and you can find in used bookstalls. Okay, that is right. These works, which can be romance, crime fiction, fantasy, science fiction, and so on and so forth, are what we refer to when we talk about popular literature. However, today I would like to give you a more exact or more technical definition of what popular literature is. Now, let me start with this general statement. Popular literature is actually a term that we use to refer to literary works that are enjoyable for people to read. And when they are enjoyable to read, they're usually for entertainment. And these works usually follow certain conventions, which we usually call genres. Of course, you know genres like horror stories, romance, sci-fi, crime stories, adventures, and so on. So these are the genres or conventions that these works follow. However, the themes and topics can be various, can be limitless. They can follow the convention of, for example, detective fiction, but their topics or their themes can be so different from each other. So that's what we need to keep in mind. Genre-wise or conventions-wise, they are quite narrow. But themes-wise, in terms of themes, they can be various. Okay, now when we talk about popular literature in this class, I might use terms like genre fiction or popular fiction. They are basically the same. Okay, I will use them interchangeably. Now, this is a term that I will not use for popular literature. In fact, I will use this term as the opposite of popular literature, which is literary fiction. When you hear literary fiction, what comes to your mind should be Henry James, Shakespeare, or James Joyce, William Faulkner, Ernest Hemingway, and all these great people, Virginia Woolf, or Toni Morrison, and so on. Now, popular literature, in fact, is best described as the opposite of literary fiction, or we can also call them serious literature or literature with capital L. I, for one, prefer to use the word literary fiction to show less of a hierarchy. Okay, when we use literary fiction, it means fiction that is meant to be art, to be expression, to be political, and so on. So yeah, it's best described, or literary popular literature is best described as the opposite of literary fiction or serious literature. And that's an argument presented by Ken Gelder in the book called Popular Literature, the Logics and Practices of a Literary Field. I will introduce you to this further in another video. Okay, now after telling you that it is best described as the opposite of literary fiction, let me put both of them side by side so you can start to recognize the points of difference or what makes them opposites. Okay, now when we talk about popular literature, or sorry, popular fiction or popular literature or genre fiction, we realize that it is part of an industry. There is an industry in which companies compete to pay writers to produce works like this, or compete to publish works by writers that people will enjoy. So industry is a major part of popular fiction. And then conventions. I mentioned to you earlier about the conventions of detective stories or popular romance, science fiction, and so on. We will go deeper into that later in the semester. And popularity. Popularity here refers to um, the ubiquitous presence in the public. People enjoy them so that people buy them and people read them and people use them everywhere. It becomes popular. So popular fiction is popular. Yeah. And lastly, for entertainment, or even in the extreme, it's an escape or escapist. When a text or a novel is used as entertainment, then we usually read them when we don't need to, we need to enjoy ourselves. We need to forget the difficult life, or we need to, well, chill out a little bit, or we need to get some kind of escape from day-to-day routine. You know, our routine might not be torturous, but still routines are routines, and every now and then you need to get away from the routine. And literature or popular literature is often used as that. And the case is even stronger for popular literature that is adapted into a movie or a game and so on. So they become a stronger entertainment. All right, now what about literary fiction? For literary fiction, we usually know them as expressions. They are the expressions or artistic or aesthetic expressions of a writer, somebody who wants to tell the world about what they observe or what they feel or what they think beautiful. It's an expression often. And then it can also be the exploration or observation of on life. So a writer can go to one place and observes their surrounding and finds out that these are what other people might not know. So they decide to write it in order for people to understand about another part of the world. That's an example. So basically, it can also be an exploration of life. And when we talk about exploration, we cannot be bound by conventions, because what we explore is probably something that we don't know the limit of. So we keep exploring. We don't want to be bound by anything when we explore. And it is related to the next point, which is challenging boundaries. In literary fiction, people do not like to repeat the same style, the same theme, the same topic over and over again. That's why they keep challenging the boundary. For example, there is a boundary of telling a story from the perspective of a woman. Then a literary fiction writer might think that, no, I don't want to be bound by this way of narrating a story. I want to express it in a different way. Maybe because they don't want to be the same as earlier writers. So This is strong in literary fiction. In popular fiction, this is not something encouraged because it will make the reader realize that there's something different. And when you realize something like that, you will no longer really enjoy the reading as a routine, as an entertainment. It will be an act of thinking and ruminating and pondering. That's not what entertainment is to begin with. All right. And uh, in literary fiction, I do not deny that literary fiction can be entertaining. There are so many literary fiction works that are entertaining, funny, and captivating and thrilling. But these elements are not what they want to target first. They want to target something deeper, to trigger thinking, to elicit questioning, and eventually it can also lead you to some kind of transformation. So these are the two differences, or these two types of literary work, and it is best if we know that they are different in order to understand what popular literature is. And that's according to Ken Gallagher. Okay, now I will give you these keywords that I want you to find out for yourself. Okay, what are these things? Genre is an important thing. Popularity, I have described to you what popularity is. Entertainment, yes, I have described to you. And dime novels, what is it? This is something I haven't touched upon at all, but you will find out what it is in another material. I will give you a file that consists of definition of dime novels. And finally, industrial revolution. I want you to try to find out what these five terms mean and hold on to them, because you will need this in order to really understand what popular literature is, historically speaking. All right, I guess that's all for this first video. And let me end this presentation with this image of somebody in a train, in a train car, reading a book. And this is how the enjoyment of reading popular literature should be. Right, everyone? Thank you very much for listening to this lecture. Looking forward to seeing your answers. Bye.